So, understand that Kavod HaTorah has gotten such a beating. That's really what it is. You know, someone says, who said that? That rabbi? Oh, that rabbi. And then they tell you 25 things that's wrong with that rabbi. The minute you go like that, you know, you destroy a person, you destroy a person's reputation. And I guess Eli HaKohen, as great as Shmuel was, and the fact that Shmuel was right, what could Shmuel have done? He didn't have to answer this person. He could have gone over to Eli HaKohen, and he could have said, Rebbe, this person is waiting for the shechita. I remember learning that shechita is kosher bizarre. What do you remember that?
Not out loud.
Not out loud.
Not out loud.
And not to him.
Yes,
you know?
not to him.
That's what he could have done. And he didn't do that. He was a kid. He was innocent. But little things become big things, becomes a problem. So it's very, very interesting how these things seem to develop. Okay. Next. The first thing it says in Parashat Tzav is the Trumat Hadeshin. The Trumat Hadeshin is taking out the garbage. The ashes. That's what's taking out the garbage. So it's fascinating that it goes through this whole process of cleaning up. Imagine. The same way it talks about putting your hands on the korban and doing vidui and the shechita and collecting the blood and sprinkling, it gives the same attention to taking a broom and a dustpan and sweeping.
Wow.
So imagine a guy comes home and his wife says, you know, the kitchen floor needs sweeping. What does the Bukharian guy say?
It's your territory, not mine.
I heard once the greatest line, which is a Bukharian guy said to me, he says, Rabbi, don't put a skirt on me. Did you ever hear that? That don't put a skirt, don't put a dress on me? You know, I don't wear dresses. I said, I'm glad you don't wear dresses. But I wish Hillary Clinton wore dresses. But she doesn't wear dresses either. What does it tell you, though? In the Beit HaMikdash, they swept. And the Torah talks about it. The Torah talks about cleaning up and taking out the garbage. Must be that no matter what you do, if Hashem says this is important, it's important. That means it's not because sweeping is above you or below you. If Sholem Bayit is Hashem's wish, and if having a clean house is what Hashem wants, then you're not doing it because your wife wants it, even though that should be enough of a reason, but you're doing it because it's Hashem's will. And if you're doing the Ratzon Hashem, the will of God, no matter what you do, as long as you're doing the will of God, you should be happy doing it. That means you should be willing to say, it's not what's important to me, it's not about me, it's about service to Hashem. And that's something that's very, very important. The next thing is fascinating. Who was supposed to do the work in the Beit HaMikdash? Originally, the original plan, who was going to do the Avodah?
Levi.
Not the Kohen. They were not the original plan.
Levi.
They were plan B. The Bechorim. A Bechor is the firstborn.
Bukharian people.
No doubt, I can hear that. Because some Bukharian people are called Bechor, they do it. So, yeah, the Bukharian people, the Bechor, got it. So now, tough crowd tonight. Tough crowd. Now, why did the firstborns lose it? What did they do to lose the privilege?
Because when Hashem was killing out the firstborn Egyptians, the Satan said, the Jews also do idol worship.
No. Go a little bit further in history. What did
sinned.
they do by the sin of the golden
Okay.
calf? They all sinned by the golden calf. The Bukharim too. The only ones that did it was Levi. Okay. So Hashem said, that's it, I'm making a switch. Okay. Now, there's a logic to it. Because very often, if you have a unique job, before you had schools, who would teach you that job? Usually your father. Okay? So if you're a Bechor, and your father was not a Bechor, how could he teach you to do the work in the Beit HaMikdash? He couldn't. But a Kohen can teach a Kohen. But the Meshech Chochmah has a very interesting question. He says as follows. He says, I understand that those who left Mitzrayim made a mistake. So they lost it. But what about their children, their grandchildren? Why was it lost forever? I'll give you an example. The Jews who left Egypt, did they go into Israel? No. Why? Because the sin of the spies. Did their children go into Israel?
Yes.
Why? Maybe once they lost it, it's lost. Their children, their grandchildren, now it should go into Israel. We don't say that, right? That means it was only you who lost it. So why did it not happen after the 40 years in the desert? All the new Bechorim come in and do it. So the Meshech Chochmah brings down a Gemara, and he says there are certain things that are considered a blemish, a mum. And if you have this blemish, it's called a mum, it affects the whole family till the end of time. He says that there were stories of certain Kohanim who worshipped idols. When it was found out that they worshipped idols, their locker, their hook, so-called, their locker in the Beit HaMikdash was closed, never to be opened again. He says, when you're a Kohen, or when you're doing the avodah in the Beit HaMikdash, you don't get second chances. They had to be on a certain level, and that level went from father to son, father to son. And if, for example, a Kohen married someone who was divorced, are his children Kohanim? No, that's it. It stops. And he gives an example, a very interesting Gemara. Listen to this Gemara. The Gemara says in Psochem, Daf Gimel Amud Beis, that there were 3 Kohanim sitting around the table eating from the Lechem HaPanim. Now you know what the Lechem HaPanim is that showbread. And that Lechem HaPanim, by the way, was matzah. It was kosher all year round, even for Pesach, because even on Pesach it was there. The Lechem HaPanim was on the table 24/7, 365 days. So it was like a matzah. It was a very thin matzah. And the Lechem HaPanim had a very unique property. If you had a small piece of it, it was full. You were full like you ate a whole meal. Okay? So you didn't need a big piece. So there were 3 Kohanim that got a small little piece of the Lechem HaPanim. So the Gemara says they were sitting around eating this little piece, and one said to the other, look at my piece of Lechem HaPanim. It's the size of a bean. A bean is a small little, a bean. You know what a bean is? Small bean. The other one says, mine is the size of an olive. Also very small. The third one said, mine is the size of a lizard's tail. Now, a lizard is a tamei animal. It's one of the Shmona Shratzim. Next week you'll see there's 8 Shratzim means creepy, crawly things that are tamei. And he described the Lechem HaPanim like a lizard's tail. When the senior Kohanim heard this, they looked into his background and they realized that he was pasul, that he was not worthy to be a Kohen, and they banned him from the Beit HaMikdash. That means the way he spoke was a reflection
Of Begram?
of a pagam. And that was enough to ostracize him. That was it. He was finished. He couldn't be a Kohen. His children were not calling him. No one. His line ended. Because of the way he described the Lechem HaPanim. That means a person, the way a person talks, the way a person acts. Sometimes kids act, a certain way because they're kids. We understand that. We don't necessarily excuse it. Our job is to educate them. But I remember, there were many students in high school who were teenagers or high school. And teachers wanted me to throw them out. And usually I never threw them out. And they were angry at me because they felt, I was backing the student and not the teacher. And I tried to imagine. I would sit there and imagine in 10 years from now, what's this kid going to be? He's not going to be 15 years old anymore. He's going to be 25, 30. He's going to be married. He'll probably be making $1 million. He'll probably be successful. He'll probably have 3 kids of his own. If I had that image of him in my mind, I couldn't throw him out. Because now he's a kid. So I had to juggle that. But in the Beit HaMikdash, the Kohanim, if you were a 25, 30-year-old Kohen, and you spoke in a way that was disrespectful, it's a problem. And you have to be very careful, because the Kohanim wore special clothes, and they could think we're the only ones close to Hashem, and they could have ga'ava. And the Gemara says a person who's a Baal Gaiva is like he worshipped Avodah Zarah. So if a Kohen showed that he was a Baal Gaiva, you know what happened? He became puzzled, as if he worshipped Avodah Zarah. That's how careful you have to be. Okay. In a siddur, in davening, tell you one thing very interesting, and then we'll see where we go after that. In davening, before we get to the shacharit, we have something called korbanot, correct? Mm-hmm. Do you say korbanot? Not everybody says korbanot every morning. Sometimes they only say it on the chagim. Do you say korbanot every morning?
Yes.
You read it out loud?
Yes.
Okay. In the end of the korbanot, there's a hirotzon. Then it says, Ezehu mekomon shel zvachim. Where did the korbanot go? And it goes through the Kodesh Kodashim, the Shchitas, and the Tzofon. And it's a whole section here. It starts here on page 28, and it goes on page 29, all the way to page 30, to page 31, then you get to Rabbi Shmuel Omer.
Yeah.
So they bring down, the Brisker Rav brings down from the Vilna Gaon. Why is this included in davening? It's a fascinating answer. They say that this Mishnah, Ezem Mekoman, is the only set of Mishnah in Shas where there's no machloket. Everybody agrees.
Because they don't know exactly. They don't know themselves.
No, because they say this was a tradition, Mimoshe Misinai. So every Mishnah, you look at any Mishnah, Brachos and Zvachim and Menachos and Chulin in Shabbos, everyone, Mishnah says the Tanakhama says that, Rabbi Yehuda says this, Rabbi Gamliel, Beis Hillel, Beis Shammai. There's a machloket everywhere. This is an only section of Gemara, Ezem Mekoman, that's a whole section that there's no machloket.
Wow.
Why? Because it's halacha l'mosh b'sinai. And when I told this to somebody on Motzei Shabbat, you know what they told me? If you count the words, there's 345 words, which is the gematria of Moshe. 345 is the numerical value
From page 28 to
28
31.
to 31 before Rabbi Yishmael Omer. I expect you tomorrow to count every word. There's 345 words. I didn't count them. Usually I'm very careful to count. When people tell me gematria, I try to figure it out myself. I didn't have a chance, excuse me. But he says there's 345 words, which is the gematria of the word Moshe. So this is a remez that Moshe wrote it. And because Moshe wrote it, everybody accepted it. Because Moshe accepted it, everybody accepted it, there's no machloket. If there's no machloket, that's how come we read it during Shacharit. Min HaShamayim, we read it that there should not be machloket. It's a fascinating thing. It's a fascinating thing that Ezem Mekoman should come with that concept, that there's no machloket at all, that it has to do with over there. Okay. Let's see if I have anything else for you over here that I wanted to share with you.
I think it was yeah.
What was that?
I'm just joking.
Tough crowd, tough crowd.
I'm teasing.
Okay. Here we go. It sings now something over here. It says, Zoveach Toda Yechabdenana. And it has 2-letter nuns. So they bring down, now why is it 2-letter nuns? Because a Jew thanks Hashem whether the news is good or bad. That means Geshem, the same way we say Hatov HaMeitiv on good news, we say Dayan HaEmet on bad news. Now, it's interesting that the Korban Toda, when you have to bring a Korban to say thank you, because Hashem saved you.
Every day.
Every day we should do it. But the Korban Toda has 40 loaves of bread to it. It's one of the few Korbanot that was Chametz. Okay? And it has 40 loaves of bread. Now, nobody can eat 40 loaves of bread. So the reason they had so many loaves of bread is that you should invite all your friends. So when you have to come and say thank you to Hashem, you have to do it berabim. That's why when we bench Birkat HaGomel,
Crowd.
what?
With the crowd.
With a crowd. We bench Birkat HaGomel in Shul, we bench it in a crowd. Now, there is in davening something called Mizmar L'Toda. Where is that in here? Here it is. Mizmar L'Toda, correct?
After Baruch Shema.
Right after, right. So, do you know that the Mizmar L'Toda is a special Tehillim for the Korban Toda?
Yeah.
Yes.
They bring it
Now,
up to them.
since the Korban Toda comes with 40 loaves of bread, during Pesach,
You can't.
we don't say this.
Wow.
That means if you look on Pesach, it says over here that we do not say Mizmar L'Toda. Now, it doesn't say it over here, but if you look in an art scroll, it will say during Chol HaMoed Pesach, we skip this.
Well, as far as do say it.
You do say it on Pesach.
Because nowadays we don't have that kind of korban.
I know that. And it doesn't make sense either that even if it was made out of chometz, that you can't say. That means on Pesach, if I say the word chometz, did I do something wrong?
No.
Sounds crazy, right? That means if I say, you know,
There was no korban.
and when on matzah I say amotzi lechem min haaretz. So do you guys.
Yes. Everybody.
Even you guys say amotzi lechem min haaretz on matzah on Pesach.
Yeah. We just
Because you want to be like Ashkenazim on Pesach. I know.
After Pesach, you still say lechem.
Rabbi,
From matzah. We say
Yeah,
mazal.
once we start, we don't want to stop.
We say mazal.
the Sedem is in Beit HaMikdash, there was no chametz, there was no soul with V'dash.
Correct. There was no chametz in the Beit HaMikdash, and yet the Korban Toda was chametz. So our minhag is not to say this. You're saying that you have it brought down in halacha to say this.
Yeah, we do say it.
You do say it. Okay, I haven't come across it. I'm on volume 9 now from the Abiyah Omer. I finished volume 10. I'm doing volume 9. I'm going backwards. You know, I'm trying to work with Rabbi Vadio says backwards. Because I told you I finished
It
Yerushalmi.
says there in Hebrew that on Pesach we don't read it.
No, it says it in the art scroll. I think if you look at an art scroll siddur, it will say the Ashkenazim don't say it. Okay? Here I don't say it. I saw an interesting tshuva from Rabbi Vadia Yosef. He asked the question that a lady lit Shabbos candles and made the bracha, and then she forgot that she didn't daven mincha. But she lit Shabbos candles. Can she still daven mincha, or does she daven arvit twice? That means it's Shabbos now. Can she daven mincha? So he says you can daven mincha. He said just because you lit candles and everything else, it's Shabbos, but it's really not Shabbos until Baruch Hu, until the sun goes down. He says a man also. If a man, said Mizmor Shir, and accepted upon him Shabbos, but if you remember he forgot to daven mincha, he can still daven mincha. But if it's after Baruch Hu, he says it's too late. Then you gotta daven, so you gotta do it twice. So I was going through.
Even if it's after the Shkia?
If it's after the Shkia, he would have to wait for Ma'ariv and daven twice. I would think that would be the case.
Yeah.
We generally daven mincha early. There are some people daven even before Plaga mincha. Especially when they change the clock. We daven early. But there were some of the things that were over there that was found very, very interesting. Okay, it's 9:25. I'm going to be on my way. Next week, in Yirtzeh Hashem, I'm going to have my Haggadah with me, and we're going to go through the Haggadah of Pesach, and we're going to go through different aspects. For example, which mitzvot on Pesach night are from the Torah, and which ones are midrabanan? Do you know the answer to that? Which mitzvos on Pesach night are from the Torah? Well, today. There's not, what would you say today? What mitzvahs are today? Hillel is not a mitzvah. What mitzvahs are min Torah and what mitzvahs are midrabanan? Magid, the Pesach story is min Torah. Okay? On Pesach night we have two mitzvahs min Torah. Sipur Yetzias Mitzrayim is one. What's the second mitzvah? Matzah is the second mitzvah min Torah. We have three mitzvahs midrabanan. Drink 4 cups of wine.
Yes.
And we make 4 borei pri hagofets. You guys only do 2.
Four. We do 4.
Last night I was by Rabbi Nisanov Shul. He told me they only make Bor Be'er for the first two.
The Bukharians have the Likutei Dinim, the halachot they were found. It has Mishnah Berurah. It has the
And what do you do? 4 or 2?
four.
I'm so happy I had this influence on you guys. I take responsibility for your Ashkenazi
The
deviations.
Sephardim, right,
Bakal
make it
ben de
two.
vereyim böyle
But
bir
the
şey.
Bukharians, they do 4.
The Sephardi do 2, right?
Right, they do 2.
And you do 4.
The Bukhari minhag, the Shoresh minhag.
I'm sure it's Bryks' fault. I know that. Blame him, why
No,
not?
the Bukharians, they don't say Borit
No,
Be'er, they say
Sephardi
Borit-
from
Borit
Bukharian.
Be'er.
That's what we say.
Right, the Bukharians, when they say the Shiva Barachot, the Barachat, the real Bukharians, the Shoresh, Borit Be'er, they don't say Borit Be'er.
Baruch Hashem. The next mitzvah midrabanan is moror. Even though it says moror in the Torah, that's only in the Torah when you have Korban Pesach. Today we eat the moror as midrabanan. And the third mitzvah is halil, to praise Hashem, lahodos. So we have other things that we do that are minhagim. But mitzvahs, we have 2 from the Torah and 3 from the Drabanan. So next week we are going to learn more about Pesach and Haggadah.
So Korban Pesach, even by the
Have a
gear,
good
was
night.
brought down, right?
What?
By the gear, the Korban Pesach.
Correct.
So if he brought the Korban Pesach, the gear, and you don't have to speak about this at Ephraim too, but since he converted, he basically, what he does, he admits that whatever the story being told about Tzav Mitzrayim, that's
So
what
I'm going to take it a step further. There's a halacha, not many people know this halacha, that if a person is megayer, he's a ger, but it's not 100%. To be 100%, he has to have eaten from the Korban Pesach,
Pesach, that's
which is exactly what you just said.
the Rambam.
That's right. That means today we don't have the Korban Pesach. So we have Gerim, but it's never 100% until he eats. And I had a case where a woman was being mitgayer, and we asked her questions, and we said to her, if the Beit HaMikdash was being rebuilt, would you eat from the Korban Pesach? And she said no, because she's a vegetarian. And we didn't begayer her.
Oh,
Because one of the conditions is that she has to eat from the Korban Pesach.
Yeah, she accepted. She after
But she says no. She told us she would not, and we said to her we can't do it, and she's not. I'm a vegetarian,
Maybe.
so we didn't beguile her because of that. That's pretty shocking.
Most beguile mean did.
We didn't convert her because
she
she
was
would.
joking.
She said she would never eat from the
Yeah,
Korban
wasn't
Pesach.
joking.
She was a vegetarian,
She's a
Maybe she
vegetarian.
was joking.
and a ger has to eat from the Korban Pesach to show that he believes in God.
Maybe if still now I have afikomen from last year, but I need to